Greetings, everybody! T-Brar once again. On behalf of 4 complete seasons of MLP and 700 subscribers, let's get this thing rolling. Dominic Aubry asked, what do you think is going to happen in Season 5? Honestly, I can only guess at this point. I certainly have no idea what they could pull off for a premiere or finale, especially villain-wise. I feel like Tyrek was the most intimidating and dangerous so far, so how can they possibly top him? As for Twilight and her friends now being part of some friendship council, again, who can tell? I do know what I'd like to see for slice of life kind of episodes, though, especially stuff concerning characters who deserve a bit more fleshing out, like the princesses, Cadance in Shining Armor, Zecora. Heck, I'd love to see Babs' Manhattan Crusaders, too. The Razor Sharkfins asked, would you ever like to co-commentate with other people? I've never gotten the offer before, but I'd love it if I could. The only problem is, it might be a bit trouble scheduling it. It'd be fun, but it's probably not going to happen anytime soon, I'm afraid. The Animation Analyst asked, Number 1. What's your opinion of Wreck-It Ralph? It's one of my all-time favorite animated movies. I mean, I love video games, and I especially love platformers and classic games. Not really much of a Halo, Grand Theft Auto, or Call of Duty kind of guy, if you know what I mean. The story's fun, the characters are enjoyable, the humor's great, had a lot of heart put into it, and the cameos from the game characters we know, man, oh man. I mean, you've got original characters like Ralph, Felix, and Vanellope, but you've also got Bowser, Dr. Eggman, Clyde from Pac-Man, Sonic the Hedgehog, even Q*bert plays a role. All in all, it's a great movie, and a must-see for any video game aficionado. Number 2. Are there any other cartoons currently airing that you watch besides MLP, such as Regular Show, Adventure Time, or Gravity Falls? Unfortunately, I never really got into those shows, though I have seen bits of Adventure Time and Gravity Falls, and they seem decent enough. Not really a fan of what I've seen for Regular Show, though. Even though it's no longer airing, I have seen and enjoyed several episodes of Dan Versus. I am looking forward to the airing of Sonic Boom. Number 3. What are some of your favorite movies? Some of my favorites? Well, Wreck-It Ralph, naturally. Monty Python, The Holy Grail, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original, Happy Gilmore, and 12 Angry Men. Number 4. Do you have a favorite episode for each season of MLP? If so, what episodes? Ooh, choosing one episode per season's tough, so forgive me for being wishy-washy and choosing more than one. I'll be fair and not include two-parters. Season 1, Bridal Gossip, Party of One, and The Best Night Ever. Season 2, Lesson 0, Read and Weep, and A Friend Indeed. Season 3, Too Many Pinkie Pies, Magic Duel, and Sleepless in Ponyville. Season 4, Castlemania, Pinkie Apple Pie, and Pinkie Pride. Might as well list my least favorites too, just to leave no stone unturned. Season 1, Swarm of the Century. Season 2, Mysterious Mare-do-Well. Season 3, Spike at Your Service. Season 4, call me biased, but none. DJ Pyrotechnics asked, Number 1. Will there be a possibility that you will do Season 5 blind commentaries with a face cam? Very unlikely. I've seen some commentators who are able to pull off using face cams, like Ladix, who you should all be watching by the way, as he is an awesome commentator. But I don't think it's the kind of thing for me. I'm not really up to showing my face on YouTube or Dailymotion. Number 2. Are you going to blind commentate on the My Little Pony Equestria Girls movie before the sequel, Rainbow Rocks, is in theaters this September? I've already seen Equestria Girls, so I can't blind commentate. And with how sluggish uploading has become for me, even doing a fan commentary might take forever and a day. As for Rainbow Rocks, same deal. I don't know if I'll be able to commentate it, but time will tell. This one's a two-parter. Do you plan on blind commentating fan works such as Snowdrop, Fall of the Crystal Empire, etc.? And if you are you going to take suggestions from a YouTuber like myself that wants you to blind commentate on? Well, I've already seen Snowdrop and Fall of the Crystal Empire, along with many other fan works, such as Turnabout Storm, Double Rainboom, etc. So I won't be able to blind commentate those. I don't do fan works normally, and Button's Adventures was more of a test run, really. As for fan suggestions, it depends on if I've already seen it or not. I do appreciate fan input and constructive criticism, although I still don't appreciate the people still telling me to stop talking over the episode in my Magical Mystery Cure commentary, even though that's the whole point. Who knows? I might in the future. Only time will tell. And a generic question, when is your birthday? Early June, right when school gets out for most, even though I'm not in school anymore. Narrator 007 asked, Number 1. What was your favorite Season 4 episode, excluding the premiere and finale? I'm guessing it has to do with either birthdays or wings. Well, you'd be right there. Out of the ones I listed, Pinky Pride is probably my favorite, partially because of Weird Al's involvement. However, regardless of that, the episode itself holds up really well, and it's always a blast going back to it, watching it, listening to the songs. Number 2. Which point do you think has developed or improved in a way that reminds you most of yourself in recent years? Well, I used to be extremely shy in public, in fact I still kinda am, but I feel like I'm slowly improving, becoming a little more social bit by bit. In that regard, I suppose Fluttershy's increase in confidence and socialness is a bit similar to my own personal development. I know, big shocker, isn't it? Number 3. Out of all the background ponies, which one do you think has been given the most interesting character and story by the fandom? There's a few that I like. Time Turner being considered a pony version of Doctor Who, Lyra being human-obsessed, Vinyl and Octavia being friends, and Derpy being Dinky's mother, just to name a few. Number 4. Excluding princesses, which ponies would you want on your side in a bar fight? Pick as many as you like. No contest, any of these 4. Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Big Macintosh, and Bulk Biceps. Bring it on, I triple dog dare ya. Number 5. What was the most unexpected comedic moment of Season 4? Either because it just caught you off guard, or was something you didn't think the show would do. Well, I know I've ragged on about how often Fluttershy is a victim of a bizarre transformation or personality alteration, but to be perfectly honest, I did not see the return of Flutterguy coming. Sure, Flutterbat came out of left field, but one of the most memorable moments of Season 1 making a callback? Never saw it coming. As for most unexpected in general, easily the Chimera in Some Pony to Watch Over Me. Seriously, writers, what the hell? Number 6. Now that we've had 4 seasons full of great episodes, which one episode do you think would be the best one to use to introduce someone to the show? Well, my friend liked Rainbow Dash at the time, though not as much these days, so I showed her Read It and Weep. It was a fun episode, good humor, a nice moral, and some great action adventure scenes, and she liked it. For someone new to the show in general, though, probably one of the stronger episodes like Winter Wrap-Up, The Cutie Mark Chronicles, or even Lesson 0. Number 7. Which of the following would you most like to see in Season 5? A. Luna entering Apple Bloom's dreams. B. A Celestia-centric episode. C. A body-swapping or voice-swapping episode. D. The CMC have to help the main 6 save the day. Or E. Discord loses a bet and has to serve the CMC for a day. Excuse me while I put on my lecture hat for this one, because this might take a while. Some might expect me to choose option A, simply because it follows the logic that if Skooloo and Sweetie Belle got visits from Luna, surely Applebloom will follow suit. While that might be interesting, I feel like Applebloom's already had a lot of episodes where she was the main focus. I'd rather see something centered around Skooloo or Sweetie Belle. No offense, of course. Option C would make for some good laughs, though it all depends on who swaps with who. I've seen art pieces that swap the personalities of Fluttershy and Rainbow, Applejack and Rarity, and Twilight and Pinky, as those pairings seem to have the most comedic potential given the opposites between them. I'd definitely like to see an episode like that, but it's not what I'd like to see most. Option D is interesting. Perhaps the main 6 brush off the CMC, hopefully not too rudely, saying they can handle it themselves, or it's not something that little ponies like them should worry about. But they're forced to eat humble pie when it's a task they can't do without them, or can only be done by them. Like them being the only ones small enough to fit through a narrow passageway. Better start losing some weight, eh, gals? Another concept with good potential, but not what I'd want to see most. Option E has hilarity written all over it. Those who have read the comics already know what happens when he mixed Discord with the CMC. I'll leave it at that to avoid spoilers. It all depends on how Discord's portrayed. He's completely reformed now, but he can still be a lovable prankster. Maybe he tries to exploit loopholes in the deal. Or he just uses his magic to harmlessly make them regret making the bet in the first place. Still, what I wouldn't give to see Discord forced into taking part in a Fool's Tea Party, or even one of their crusades. However, by process of elimination, I have to side with option B. Why? Because we don't see enough of Celestia by herself. The comics do that, but not the show. The only times we usually see Celestia in the show is when something diplomatic or detrimental to Equestria's safety is going down. I want to see her not as a princess, but as a pony. I'd give anything to have an episode that's just a day in the life of Celestia. Heck, it'd be even better if Luna was there, because we don't see enough of their sisterly interactions in the show either. One thing is for certain, though. I will never grow tired of the Mom Lestia moments between Celestia and Twilight. The Night Star asked, Number 1. Do you play any JRPGs? And if so, what are your favorites from the genre? Would that be Japanese RPGs as in tabletop Dungeons & Dragons style games? I've never played those. If we're talking video games, I do enjoy Pokemon, and I'm looking forward to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Number 2. Have you played any Pwnafide video games, and what are some of your favorites or general opinions on those? Like original games, ROM hacks, or anything the Brony community has come up with. The only ones I've ever played are the My Little Investigations demo, which was enjoyable for what it was, the first chapter of Welcome to Ponyville, which has a neat concept, though I feel like the horror subgenre is a little jarring, and Adventure Ponies 2 on the Hub site, which was entertaining. Number 3. If you could hire the Ponytones to sing at one personal holiday or special yearly event, including birthdays, which holiday or day would you ask them to sing on? Well, I bet the Ponytones could sing better than a lot of the celebrities who have mangled the national anthem in the past. But I've always felt embarrassed to be sung about on or for my own birthday. What I think would be great is if they sang Christmas songs on Christmas Eve. That would be truly magical. Number 4. If you could choose which of 4 villains/antagonists to return and reform to the good side in the show, out of a list of Chrysalis, the Flim Flam Brothers, Gilda, or Suri Polomare, which would you choose to see? After seeing the comics, I doubt Chrysalis is going to change her ways anytime soon. It'd be nice to see the Flim Flam Brothers act more like honest businessmen instead of greedy shysters. But Leap of Faith showed me they just don't learn from their mistakes. Yet Ponyville pretty much forgot what they did in Season 2. More than anything, I'd love to see Gilda given a second chance. If they can bring back Trixie as an antagonist but reform her in the end, why not Gilda? Yeah, I still want to give her a piece of my mind after her behavior toward Pinkie and making Fluttershy cry. But I think the writers could put together a redemption episode for her. It could work. As for Suri, we didn't even get to see Coco Pamel leave her. We're just told it. I wonder if losing her assistant might humble her, but somehow I doubt it. Number 5. Do you think we'll actually see Scorpan in Season 5? And what part do you think he'll play in the show? It'd be pretty cool to see Scorpan in the show, since all we've seen of him is in the storybook recap of his and Tyrik's backstories. With Tyrik back in Tartarus, though, I have to wonder what role he could play. Perhaps in helping stopping a new evil, since he was friends with Star Swirl and did warn the princesses of his brother's refusal to give up their original plan. I feel like he deserves some screen time, yet I'm not sure how he could use it. Number 6. Do you think any of the other main 5 aside from Twilight should ever become an alicorn? Or is this literally the worst ever in the history of Forever? None of the rest of them should become alicorns, that should be clear. But Twilight's a special case. This was her destiny, to become the Princess of Friendship. Her ascension was thrown at us pretty bluntly, and out of nowhere, but the show handled it pretty well. Twilight's not perfect, she's not a Mary Sue. Beyond the wings and new royal duties, she's still a lovable, adorkable Twilight. Though I still enjoy calling her your royal studiousness. Number 7. Do you think Diamond Tiara is ever going to have any possibility of redemption, or do you think she's going to be a terribly obnoxious, stuck-up thorn in the CMC's side for the rest of their lives? Oh, believe me, I want Diamond Tiara to redeem herself, or to have some shred of decency in her that we've at least seen in Silver Spoon once or twice. I know it's ridiculous to hope that every single villain or bully can be reformed or redeemed, but Diamond Tiara is a recurring character in the show, unlike most villains or antagonists. She never gets her way in the end, and yet she never learns because of it. She's pretty much a one-note antagonist. Make the lives of the CMC and those around them miserable. I have seen good Diamond Tiara redemption fics. I'm even working on my own within Living in Equestria. But the show isn't offering me much hope that she can change for the better. If you want my opinion, they should make an episode with a new bully, but have Diamond Tiara be the victim instead of siding with them. Show that she can be just as vulnerable and sympathetic as any pony. You can even make her a tsundere. Still try to act tough, but become warmer and more enjoyable, like Viridi in Kid Icarus Uprising. Number 8. What would be your opinion of Starscroll the Bearded actually making his way into the show somehow? Do you think he'd be like the one in the comics, presuming that you've read them, which I have, or should the writers just retcon him and do their own thing? I'd love to see Starscroll in the show. He's mentioned constantly, and he's had a massive impact on Twilight's future with his unfinished spell. I doubt a lot of what happens in the comics will make an impact on the show, but after seeing him in the comics, I think it'd be a lot of fun to see in flashback form, an eccentric but brilliant wizard. Heck, it offers a great opportunity to see his past friendship with Celestia. Number 9. You mentioned you're a fan of Linkara. You also remind some of us of him as well. Do you have any specific Linkara moments from atop the fourth wall or anything else that you remembered, liked, or stood out the most to you? Yes, I am a fan of Atop the Fourth Wall, as well as a nostalgia critic. There's a lot of great moments within the span of his, to date, 300 episodes. But here's what I can say. I admire Linkara because, while he does use language from time to time, he doesn't have to rely on vulgarity or profanity to be funny. He's clever, he's witty, and he's an amazing story maker, as shown in the storylines that happen between his reviews. My favorite moments with him are when he's deconstructing something particularly stupid or offensive. I won't list specific moments in case of spoilers, but some of my favorite reviews of his are One More Day, The Marvel Saga, JLA Act of God, Cry for Justice, and his 300th episode, Holy Terror. Not because of the comics themselves, of course, but how he tears them apart. I might not be a fan of superhero comics and thus have little know-how otherwise, but thanks to Linkara, I don't need it. He provides it for us. Number 10. Do you think Friendship is Magic should ever do an episode where the current gen meets or crosses over with the older generations like G1? Like what happened with that Turtles Forever movie? Or do you feel this would be jumping the shark a bit too hard? I'm sure plenty of fanfic writers have toyed with this idea. It might make for a bizarre and potentially funny concept, but personally, I don't think this needs to be a thing that happens. To me, it's just funny to harken back to the previous generations via jokes or characters, like including Tyrek and Scorpan, modeling the main characters on previous incarnations, or even jabs at the absurdities of the previous gens. Like that one Pinky clone who gave herself a G3 face and too many Pinkie Pies. I will say this though, if they find a way to make the Smooze a G4 antagonist, I will laugh my ass off. Number 11. Speaking of shark jumping, do you think there's anything that the show could do that would jump the shark so hard it would cause you to quit watching entirely? Or would you stick with the show no matter what happened? Some might say Discord reforming or Twilight becoming an alicorn is jumping the shark, but I don't think so. I think jumping the shark in the show's case, something that might make me lose interest, falls under add a new character and make him or her a new member of the main six, like what they did with Scrappy and Scooby-Doo. I've seen OC self-insert stories like that, and they ain't pretty. I doubt the writers would go that far, though. Number 12. Who do you think is the most improved writer on the show? Well, I'm not sure who I can say by way of improved, but I can say which writers I like seeing the work of. Of course, Megan McCarthy never fails to impress, nor does Amy Keating Rogers. Dave Polsky's made a lot of good episodes, especially when he's writing Pinky, however minor her role is. Meriwether Williams may have written my least favorite episode, The Mysterious Mare Duel, but she was behind some good episodes too, like Bats and Heartswarming Eve. I guess what I'm trying to say is, every writer in whatever form of media has their hits and misses, so no one should be too hard on them. Unless they're consistently bad with no sign of improvement, like Frank Miller or Gary Brodsky, as Linkara pointed out. Number 13. Has there ever been an opinion that the majority of the Brony fanbase has or holds about the show that you just never quite understood or agreed with? What would that be and why? Well, as far as the majority of the fanbase is concerned, it's mostly a matter of individual opinion. Some say Alicorn Twilight or Equestria Girls are the worst things ever. They're not. The show handled Twilight's ascension exceptionally well within its progressive story arc, even if the execution might have been a little rushed. Equestria Girls also suffered from a lack of pacing, but I'd hardly call it the worst. Now, the thing I don't understand in the Brony community most of the time is the shipping pairings. I can understand stuff between the main six or other major characters or background characters that have easily establishable personalities, but to me, pairings have to make sense given the characters they involve. Some just seem too out there or don't have enough basis or foundation to make sense. Like, you can get away with puppy love or crushes like Spike with Rarity or Button Mash and Sweetie Belle or Scootaloo and Rumble, for example, but shippings between the foals seems a little rushed. I may not understand it fully, but are they really old enough to be in relationships? I'm not the best guy to ask about romance, so I might be way off base. Point is, you can have your fantasies. I just won't be able to understand how all of them work. Number 14. Who is your hero or a person you look up to most as a role model? I'd most likely say my dad, since we share a lot of interests and appreciate the same kind of jokes and humor. He's a great guy. And number 15. Did you know that booby trap spelled backwards is party boob? Not really a great question for a Q&A or anything. I just found out about that and it kind of blew my mind. I actually never noticed that myself. It's juvenile, but hey, I enjoy fart humor and a vast majority consider it the lowest form of comedy, but what do I care? If it makes me laugh, what's the problem? Well, folks, that about does it. Thanks a bunch for your questions. If you still have questions or missed your chance, hit me up in the comments below and I'll answer there. Until next time, see ya!